In this podcast, Evolution of a Human, it's supposed to be my job to inspire you to make the changes you know you want to make, and maybe even give you a few hints. But instead, I'm going to let my guests do that. Learn from their stories and the obstacles that they've overcome to be who they are today. Hello, Cassie, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
You're a powerhouse. I've been following you on socials for a bit over a year, and you're one of the few accounts that I just can't stop watching. Other accounts come and go, but yours is always there. So
That's
do
an
you want to
honor.
give me a bit of a breakdown of who you are, what you do, and what you're all for?
Okay. Well, where would I even start? I'm Cassie Howard. Hello, nice to meet you. I'm just kidding. I'm somebody who is really passionate about helping other people to create limitlessness in their life. Limitless wealth, limitless freedom, limitless joy, limitless all good things. And it's such a passion of mine that I can't not do it. I have tried to quit so many times. So I was like, this is a lot. It's a lot to be an entrepreneur, but I just love it so much. And I love this work and I love the people I get to meet and I love the industry. I love all of it. And I'm honored every day that I get to show up and do this with the people that I get to do it with.
So, all right, let's be a little bit more specific. What is it that you do? Because I haven't told anyone, what is it that you do?
So I'm a business mentor, business and sales mentor. Sales is my specialty. It's what I love the most. I could talk about it all day, every day and help people with. And I am really passionate about simplicity in business as well. That's the other thing. It's not just about making money, but I want to help you to make money and build a sustainable business in a way that's really simple and not overwhelming at all.
That is one of the things that I love about your content. You're very direct
I love
and
that.
you do keep it very simple. It's good.
Yeah.
So where did you start off? All right. So this conversation, I want to be all about transformation and the way the evolution of a person, not the evolution of
Yeah.
humans, but of a person. So
Yeah.
how did you start? Like, presumably you weren't always a business mentor.
Yes. So it's actually really interesting how I got into this space. I've had lots of different businesses, but this really kicked off when I was working in the adult industry. And when I was working over there, I did really well. I had learned a lot about business actually in that industry, but I didn't learn anything about money. And so I made a lot of money really quickly and then just spent it all because I didn't know what to do with it. It came in so fast. And then the next thing I knew, I was $20,000 in debt, which was awful for me at the time. I was like, this is insane amount of debt. And I had the government coming after me for like tax money and everything because I didn't pay my taxes because I didn't know you were supposed to do that. And did not learn anything about money.
Ignorant bliss.
And yeah, exactly. And so I was kind of frustrated with that industry at that point anyway, because it's a lot of upkeep to be a model in that industry. And I was kind of getting bored of it anyway. So I was like, I'm just going to sell my business. And I sold it for $20,000. I paid off all my debt. I wiped the slate clean. And then I was like, I've got to get my crap together and I've got to learn about money. I've got to start saving money and all that. So I went into now very different industry, the couponing and frugal living industry. And I started to learn about coupons and sales and all of that. And then I loved it so much that I created a blog from that. And I started to teach other people, this store has this thing on sale. And if you use this coupon and match it up with this, then it's like 89 cents. And it was just like a hunt for me to find all these deals. And I loved it so much. And then I started to have people ask me to create matchups of coupons and things. And so then it became a lot of work. So I was working 15, 16-hour days and making pretty much no money. I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I started to put ads on my website, like
Yeah.
Google ads and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I had affiliate marketing that I did as well to make money. And then I started to talk about how to make money from your blog because before it was all just about saving money. Now I was making money, so I started to teach that. I did that for a little while, and then I started to get messages from people saying, you should be a business coach. You should teach people business. And I had no idea what that even was. So I went to Google and was like, what is a business coach? And I found the coaching industry, and the rest is history.
Cool. So, all right, there's quite a few steps in between there. Was there a common feeling that you had when it was time to move on from one thing to the next? Was like,
Yeah.
tell me
For
about
me,
that.
it felt like, this is going to sound odd, but it felt like a job. As soon
Mhm.
as it started to feel like a job and it wasn't fun anymore, I didn't want to do it. And so when I came into the coaching industry, I knew that that was going to happen again if I didn't make sure that the way I was doing it was not only profitable, sustainable, but also enjoyable. And
Mm.
that's why everything is so simple in my business. That's why I do things on my terms, unapologetically, because I know I have to love it or I won't continue. And it's been almost a decade now. It is the longest business I've ever had, and I have no desire to quit. So I found something that I think will last now.
Beautiful. All right. So how did you feel when you moved into when you had made each step? Was there a sense of relief, or was it a sense of just joy each time you did something? Or
It definitely relief for sure. That was a big one because I was starting to feel with each one like a heaviness. Anytime I'd show up to do what I needed to do in that business, I didn't want to. It was like this heavy feeling. And so once I just decided, okay, I'm gonna leave this and figure out whatever the next step is, even if I didn't know what it was that feeling of relief, but then it was an immediate feeling of panic. Like, oh no, I have to start from scratch again and build it from the ground up, which honestly is kind of my favorite part about building a business is building it from the ground up, but it's a little scary because you don't know if it's going to work or not. So there was a little bit of panic in there.
this is it. So I call that stepping through the veil of fear with
Hmm.
complete
Yeah.
faith that things are going to work out.
Yeah.
Doesn't always feel nice, but it's still got to be done, right?
And yeah, it's necessary. We have to.
Hmm. So how do you confront your fear? Like, what makes you scared right now? Is there anything?
Always. I mean, the thing that scares me right now is will I continue to love this as much as I love it right now? Like I'm afraid of the day where I don't love it as much. And I don't see that coming anytime soon, but it could. And so there's that that's always there. And so that for me is always just continue to make it something that you're so passionate about. It's at the point where I love it so much I wouldn't do it for free, but there's that feeling of I would do it for free. Like I just love this work so much. And that makes a really big difference, but it is scary because you never know. And there could also be situations in life where I get really, really ill or a family member gets really, really ill and can't do it. So those are the types of fears I have, which is stuff you can't even really control, but it's there.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Um, Now, you kind of said that you chose the things that you would move on to because you were being asked each time. Do you have any advice for someone who knows that they need to change something? They don't know what it is. Maybe it's
Mhm.
the career or maybe a relationship. How do you have any advice for someone who isn't being asked to do something?
Yeah. Usually you're going to have some kind of a like a physical response in your body, some kind of feeling in your body or a response in your body of I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be with this person anymore. I don't want to have this business anymore. I don't want to do XYZ anymore. You'll feel it. And a lot of times when that comes up, we ignore it. Like, no, I didn't hear that. That's not true. I'll just keep doing it. But then it comes back and it's stronger every time. And so it really, I'm a big believer of trusting your gut. Like your gut will never lie. It will always steer you in the right direction. Even if it seems a little crazy and chaotic, you've got to trust it. And my gut has been like my guiding light this whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, my wife and I, we moved around the world. We're chiropractors traditionally. We moved from Melbourne to Dublin. We were there for 9 months, ended up in Darwin at the top of Australia again, so one side of the world to the other. We were there for 5 years, and then we ended up down in Melbourne again, and now we're in Portugal. And each time, to begin with, it was the universe telling you with a feather, throw a feather at you. And we're like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, whatever. And then it was a little rock. And we're like, yeah, okay, we're still going to stay here. And then it was a brick, and then you get hit by a semi. So
Hmm.
that was us not listening to our intuition,
Yeah.
not listening to our gut. And that's when we started going, all right, maybe we need to start paying attention to this sort of thing. And each time we felt that urge to leave, we're like, all right, not running away from something, but there's something else. And this is what we're going to do now.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you don't know if it'll work, but you've got to at least try it. And you
Yeah.
don't know exactly what it'll look like. Like when I first started in the coaching industry, I was a blogging coach because all I knew was blogging at that point, like making money blogging. And then soon after, I was like, I actually hate talking about blogging. I'm good at blogging, but I don't like talking about it. I don't like teaching it. So I got to find what it is that I like. Let's try this, let's try that. And then you find the thing where you're like, oh, this is it. This is where I'm meant to be.
All right. So feeling it out a little bit, not necessarily expecting to have all the answers to begin with,
Yeah.
which does bring me to something that I wanted to get to later, but this is, I think, the right time. You you talk in your profiles about having plans and strategies, but you also talk about trusting your gut and going with your feeling. So where do you find this balance between having your year mapped out for, say, offers and what you'll be doing, and you know what? No, I feel like this. How do you find that
It's
balance?
because I have a little bit of a mix. So when I plan things out, like say offers, for example, I will plan my main programs for the year. So if I'm doing, let's say, a program a month, I have those 12 programs planned out, and that's it. And as I'm sure you've seen over the
Yeah.
past year, there's way more than 12 programs that I'm selling. So those things are more, I have an intuitive hit, like, oh, this would be fun, or oh, I want to do something like that. And then there's times too where I'll have those 12 programs planned out. And then when I get to March and it's March time for the program for March, I'm like, this is not the right month. I'm feeling like I'm going to move this one to April and like switch those two. So I do plan and strategize, but I also allow myself to alter the plan whenever I get to a certain point in it and it doesn't feel right anymore.
Okay. So there is that balance, and it's moment by moment almost. Um,
Yeah.
all right. So flipping back to the evolution of Cassie Howard, how have the people around you responded? Because from what I understand, you're married, you've got a kid or kids, you've got family, you've changed over the years. How have they come along for the ride, and how have they reacted as you have gone on this ride?
The interesting thing with the businesses and like the success that I've created and all the money that we've made, my family could care less. They do not care. They don't even want to talk about it. Like I tried to celebrate something with my mom like 2 years ago, one of my biggest months ever. And she's like, that's nice. What are we going to do for lunch? Like did not want to talk. She's like, that's nice, whatever. And my mom still asks me if I would like her to get me a job at the place that she works. She's like, she's so clueless. She has no idea. And I don't, whatever, it is what it is. But they're always supportive and they know that Cassie's going to do crazy shit all the time. Like she's always going to try new things. She's going to jump into a new thing. If I say I'm going bungee jumping tomorrow, they'll be like, of course you are. Like they expect me to do the crazy stuff and they always support me, even if it does seem a little crazy. And they sometimes will be like, are you sure you really want to do that? But they know once my mind is set, I'm doing it.
All right, cool. And what was the path that was laid out for you or expected when you were a kid or a teenager? Were you
There
expected
wasn't
to
really,
kind of work with your mum, or?
no, no, gosh, no, no. That what my mom actually told me when I was younger, which I don't know if this is what like set me off into entrepreneurship or not, but when I was like maybe around 10 or so, 8 to 10, she said to me, make sure you marry a rich man so that you always have money. And I just remember hearing that, even though I was a kid, and I had this immediate reaction of, ew, like,
Yep.
ew, I don't want that.
Yep.
I want to be the rich man. And she just shook her head at me. And the best part about this story is that my husband's name is Rich. So technically I did. But yeah, that was kind of her expectation for me. It's like, in order for you to be safe and secure and have everything you want, marry a rich man. And it was the opposite for me. And this is the big thing with my business is I want everyone in my world to have that financial freedom that they don't ever have to rely on anyone.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. How has your growth been as a person, and as a mum, as a wife, as a family member through this business? How
I
have you?
really feel like I'm a different person. It's interesting because when I look back at even when I started in the coaching space in 2015, I look back at posts that I wrote back then, and I'm like, who the heck is that? Like cringe at some of them. Like I can't believe I said things like that or acted like that. Like I have grown so much, and a lot of it has actually been in the past like 5, 6 years that I've really grown emotionally as well. Like I'm a lot stronger emotionally. I'm a lot more confident than I used to be. I'm a lot more certain of myself. I'm a lot more unapologetic because when I first started in business, I was like, just tell me what to do. I'll put on this mask and be who I'm supposed to be to make money. And now I will only do it if I like it, whether it makes money or not. So it's so much growth, but it's also me being so committed every single day to getting better as a person, not just better as a business owner, but better as a human being, so
Mm.
that it kind of trickles into every other area of my life.
Yeah. You mentioned masks. That is one of the key concepts that I discuss and talk about all the time. How how many masks ish do you reckon you have these days compared to 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
How many masks?
Yeah, how many
Ooh.
roles do you play? How many the way I
Hmm.
think of it is if I show up with a group of friends who expect a certain Jacob, I play that role. I put that mask on. And then
Got
I've
it.
got another one where maybe at work as a chiropractor, I'll put this mask on. In my own growth, I've found that I need to do a lot less mask swapping. As I grow, I become more whole. All those masks all merge into one. I'm wondering if that's the
Yeah.
same sort of thing
Same.
as
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And it definitely wasn't like that. I for sure had a mask for everything,
Mm.
but I must have had a dozen masks at some point. But now it's like, this is my one mask. Take it or leave it. I am the same everywhere. You'll even I was at my kid's school the other day and they needed to email me something and they said, "What's your email?" And I told them it was Badass Boss, which is my company name. And they're like, "Oh, sorry, you can't cuss in here." I'm like, "Well, that's the name. It's Badass. I can't help you." Like, do you want me to type it? And then I realized I was, oh shit, I probably shouldn't have said that out loud. There's like little kids around and stuff. I'm like, this is who I am. Sorry.
All right. Going to start to wrap it up, I think. How do you get everything done? Like, it seems like you are doing everything. How? How do you do that?
It's so funny. Everybody thinks that. Everyone's like, you must be working 24/7. And they're shocked to hear that I work 2 to 4 hours a day. That's it. Most days. There's some days that I'll be working 10 hours, like I'm in the zone, whatever. But on average, it's not that much. And the main reason is simplicity. Like my business model is so simple. So even if you see me, say, promoting 5 different offers in a day, it probably took me a whole 3 minutes to post all of those offers. And I'm probably only delivering on 1 or 2 of them. And that's it.
Okay.
With things like calls, like I only have 1 to 2 calls scheduled in any given day, no more than that, because that's my like energetic capacity for any kind of calls. Um, and my team is really helpful, but they it's also because of the simplicity that they're able to help me the way that they do. So I just keep everything simple and I eliminate all the fluff. I only do the things that actually move the needle.
Hmm. Beautiful. And the people who want to follow in your shoes, who want to create the same kinds of changes, where do they start?
You've got to start with number one, looking at not just what you love to do, because not everything you love to do can be a business, but something that you love to do that has viability in the industry that you're thinking about going into, and then find someone or multiple someones to just kind of observe for a while and see how you could potentially have that kind of success as well. And if you can hire them, great. If you can get into a program, great. But even if you're just following them on social media, you've got to surround yourself with people who are doing the kinds of things that you really want to do or who have the kind of lifestyle that you have that you want to have, so that you can see what's possible and you can be in that kind of a headspace every day.
And I want to finish on this question. Are you happy?
So happy. So happy. Joyful.
Perfect. Because that's the goal.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time, Cassie. I've loved it. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. Thank you for being an open book. I'm sure I will think of 50 million questions that I should have asked after this. Oh, all right. One more question with that in mind.
Got it.
What have I missed that I should have asked you?
Nothing. I really believe that it comes out the way it's meant to come out. I really do. Like, I trust that it flows the way that it's meant to, and everything that's meant to be spoken about on this call is perfect. But who knows what we'll do in the future.
Exactly. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Cassie. Where can people find you?
The best place is going to be Instagram. So Cassie Howard Biz on Instagram. That's where I'm the most active, but pretty much every social media platform,
Perfect.
you'll see me
I
hanging
will
out.
link to it. People should definitely sign up to your list and see what you're up to and how you work, because it's amazing.
Thank
Thank you so much, Cassie.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening or watching. Make sure you subscribe, and I'd love it if you left a review. Any links that we might have mentioned through the show are right here in the show notes. Now, as always, be open to change. It's coming for you anyway. Face your fears instead of suppressing them. And finally, say yes to more things than you say no to. Now, if you want to jump across on Instagram, that's where you'll find out all the ways that you can work with me.